When God started to lay on my heart and speak to me about starting a new church, I fought it with everything that I had. There was nothing in me that wanted to plant a church. And I tried to ignore it. And there came a point when I told God, I said, God, if you want me to start a brand new church, if you want me to do this, then I need you to have Elena, my wife, bring it up. And sure enough, one day we were out on a date, and I had not mentioned to anybody that God was dealing with me about starting a church. And one night on this date in 2010, my wife looked right at me and said, you know what you need to do? You need to start a church. And God just in that moment confirmed what's now become a reality. And so in 2011, we started Summit. And in 2011, in April of that year, we started a series of preview services, one service a month. And from the very beginning, we saw God change people's lives. We saw God meet people right there in the forum and radically change them for all of eternity. In fact, at that first preview service, we had 93 people there, and 5 people gave their life to Jesus.
On April 17, 2011, God saved me. Summit gave me the avenue for that. And I have grown so much spiritually, and I've become a leader, and it's all because of Summit.
I love the fact that even though Summit is a larger church, we're still a family. If you need somebody to talk to, you can find someone. If you need somebody to pray for you, then they're more than happy to step up and tackle whatever task is ahead of you.
For me, I just feel God every day that I walk into Summit. Right there, you're greeted with a smile, and you just know God is in that place.
Later on in that year, we launched weekly services in September of 2011. And since then, the story of our church has been the story of how God has been faithful. We've seen God take marriages and radically transform those marriages. We've seen families come to Summit, and God begins to work through those families. And one of the great things we've seen is how God will begin to work through families by working in the lives of the children of the families. Families have come, and God has gotten a hold of kids' lives, and kids give their life to Jesus, and then that in turn transforms the entire family.
One of the reasons I love Summit is that my kids love Summit. I remember the first day that we came to Summit, it was for our cousin's baptism. We left church. My 3-year-old at the time was so excited. Said, Daddy, when we come back to church, when you going to come back here? Well, less than a month later, I got to watch my 9-year-old son give his life to the Lord and get baptized there. So for me, Summit has a special place in my heart that no one can ever replace.
I believe that God has used Summit in my life to improve and enrich my marriage. Shortly after my husband and I were married, we started to attend Summit. It was actually December of 2012, and we knew immediately that it was the church for us. And a year later, almost to the day, we were both baptized the same morning, and that was just an awesome feeling to be dedicating our lives to the Lord at the same time in the same church.
From the beginning, one thing that's been really important to our church is just the idea of serving. Just the idea that Jesus didn't start the church to only be something that's inside of a building, but Jesus started the church to be a force for His glory and for love in the world. And so before we even had church services, we were out in the community serving, and that's still at the core of who we are today, to be a church that's out in the community, in the city, in Eastern Kentucky, serving people and meeting needs.
I love Summit's passion to serve our community, and I love the fact that we will do whatever it takes to transform lives.
You know, 3 years ago when we started, if you would have told me what God was going to do, there's no way that I would have believed it. What we've experienced over 3 years, we didn't plan. This was not in the books for us. In fact, from the very beginning, we were told this was not going to work. And look what God has done. God has changed lives. God has changed families. God has been glorified in building His church.
When I think about Summit's future, I'm excited about all the people that we're going to be able to reach. To watch someone on their walk with Christ, to watch a new believer just grow in their walk and grow in their faith, what's more exciting than that?
I'm excited about the new campus, especially the student ministry building that's going to be built over there. To know that my 4-year-old son now can be part of something from groundbreaking all the way till the time he's done through middle school and high school life, that he'll be a part of something, as well as my 10-year-old jump in on the tail end of that. It's just going to be a wonderful time here in the mountains.
And so the story of our church has been God's faithfulness. And as we look into the future, we can look into the future knowing that God will be faithful, knowing that God will provide. Because when we look around, there are people that need Jesus. There are needs that have got to be met. The world is dark and the church is the light of the world. So we are not about to slow down. We have work to do. And listen, when I think about the future of our church, I am convinced the best is yet to come.